Random Phantom, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're about to get into one of my favorite top 10 channels called CineFix's. Really excited for this because today we're getting into their top 10 movies of 2021. So stoked to watch this and give my thoughts of what I think of each and every single one of their choices for top 10s. And also be on the lookout for my top 10 movies of 2021 out this weekend. So yeah, let's get into this video. And I'll talk about it throughout, as well as give my final thoughts about it afterwards.
2021 has come and gone. So much has changed, so much is the same, but from massive blockbusters to the most intimate indies, fortunately, filmmaking has had a banner year. As we look back on it in review, these are our picks for the top 10 movies of 2021.
Nice. Oh, Green Knight is so good. French Dispatch. Nice. Number 10.
Starting off at number 10, we're looking at the films that made us laugh. And thankfully, there were a fair few. We had cute, if not groundbreaking, animated entries from both Disney and Pixar, which charmed in exactly the same way they always do. Wes Anderson took an extra-strength dose of pastel pills and delivered us an anthology of thrice-distilled idiosyncrasy that was, predictably, delightful. While Paul Thomas Anderson combined Philip Seymour Hoffman's Air with literally the entire Haim family in a loosely structured hangout movie that may not have been his best, but was his most fun in Licorice Pizza. Plan B was a hysterical sex comedy.
I need to see Licorice Pizza.
And Booksmart, and Shiva Baby was hilarious, but also crazy stressful. But our favorite comedy of the year, and surely the hardest to pin down, was an adaptation of a Twitter thread of all things. We are talking here, of course, about Zola.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I have heard about Zola.
Last month, I went dancing at this cute spot in Florida where my roommate's girl made like 5 G's a night. My roommate just told me that he going out there tomorrow, and he asked me if I had any friends that want to make some money, and you the first bitch I thought of.
Damn, bitch. We just met yesterday and you already trying to take hoe trips together?
That's funny.
When we leaving?
Adapted from an absolutely hysterical series of 148 tweets about why Asia King and this bitch here fell out, Zola captures the raw, audacious, very online energy of its source material in a saga about 2 strippers heading to Florida to dance together that goes very, very awry. While sporting obvious visual shades of Spring Breakers and The Florida Project, Janixa Bravo's sophomore feature is contemporary in a way even those films are not, truly reflecting the manic energy of a generation that grew up online in both admiration and critique. It's an absolutely insane tale that's as tense as it is funny. But if that's not enough to convince you of its worth, let us not fail to mention that it includes Greg from Succession rapping Hannah Montana by Migos. So, there's that. Hannah Montana! Hannah Montana! Hannah Montana! Hannah Montana! In our next 2 slots, we're looking at the blockbusters. And here, too, 2021 came back with a fury. This year, we got a couple big-ticket musicals that took sharp melodic tugs upon our heartstrings in the form of In the Heights and West Side Story. James Bond took big risks, delivered a couple stellar action set pieces, and plunged into the deep unknown while stumbling on a few of the fundamentals. And Marvel began its next series in earnest, impressing us with Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and especially our number 9 pick, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, wow, okay.
However, even Marvel is overshadowed by this year's behemoth hype machine, and rightly so. Our number 8 pick, Dune.
It's in the box. Pain.
Okay, before they get into number 8 and 9, number 9, Spider-Man No Way Home, like, it really surprises me with their list. Like, that really surprises, but it, like, warms my heart because, oh my word, like, I love that. I love that they chose that movie for number 9. Like, oh, Spider-Man No Way Home is so good. Oh my word, like it has such a special place in my heart. It's like probably tied with Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and No Way Home is like tied with like Endgame for like my most favorite MCU movie of all time. This like makes me happy, and I might be surprised, but with CineFix's, I'm very, very surprised, but I am happy with that number 9 choice. Spider-Man No Way Home, man. And Dune, oh my word, was such a great IMAX experience. such a fantastic experience. Like, oh my word, like the music, the shots and whatever felt epic in IMAX. You had all the actors and whatever, the set pieces and all that. Timothy Chalamet is certainly somebody to look out for. That man. Gotta say, I can't wait for part 2. Denis Villeneuve, ooh man, oh man. So yeah, let's get back into this.
Nice knowing you, Spider-Man.
Excuse me?
In No Way Home, our live-action Spider-Man took a page from animated Miles Morales' book and found himself faced not with foes from across the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the ghosts of Spider-Man villains past. With a few very satisfying surprises that were both original and amazing, retconning in former versions of the Spider-Man saga as the MCU's Phase 4 continued its build-out into the multiverse, and honestly, it was a blast. Beyond its multi-dimensionality, there was nothing particularly revolutionary about No Way Home, but then again, it wasn't aiming for groundbreaking.
Yep.
Instead, it was exactly the kind of genre-spanning treat the entire world has come to know and love pretty much every single time out from Marvel Studios. There's a little comedy, a little drama, some romance, some action, great villains, a clear hero, morals and messages, and stakes and excitement and emotions and constant entertainment from start to finish.
Yep.
It's the latest entry into the world's most expensive and ambitious serial storyline ever told. So, yeah, we like experimental cinema, but we like comfort food too. And there's nothing quite as comforting as the heroes we've come to know and love, saving the universe one more time. But then, there was Dune. Remaking Frank Herbert's far-future saga of galactic colonialism, thundering across all the big screens and the loudest sound system since late October, this sci-fi epic Part 1 operated at a magnitude like little else. The sense of scale was nothing short of gargantuan, and the universe building that it served felt wholly realized and wholly real. The visual effects were essentially perfect, integrating into actual footage without a single scene showing, and they made for the easiest fantasy world to get fully lost in since perhaps Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
The resulting world looked and sounded utterly celestial.
Since Lord of the Rings, I would definitely agree with that.
Zimmer channeling the late Johann Johansson to fantastic effect.
Yep.
From the very first moments of the film, Denis Villeneuve continued to prove that he directs sequences unlike anyone else working together.
Yes,
Bending
yes.
space and time and all the techniques of cinema together into a multi-sensory emotional experience that was, in each 10 to 20 minute span of time, something utterly new. And while he has occasionally stumbled in the past at tying all his sequences together into a satisfying ending, here it was all upside, setup, and promise. An entirely new world wherein we can dream his unique brand new future.
Yep. Number 7.
Next up at number 7, we take a brief interlude from fiction films for documentaries. Elizabeth Chai Vasarely and Jimmy Chin continued their run of pulse-pounding doc thrillers, chronicling real-life man versus nature struggles with their take on the rescue of the Thai soccer team in The Rescue. Roadrunner gave us a peek into the behind-the-camera life of Anthony Bourdain. The Dissident looked into the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Interesting.
Lee compassionately animated the story of an Afghan refugee on the precipice of his marriage. But, most of all, it was a great year for music documentaries. Like, to a crazy degree. There were literally 4 Britney docs this year alone. Edgar Wright made the Sparks Brothers, Peter Jackson made Get Back, but none were quite as much of a blast as Summer of Soul.
As far
okay.
as I could see,
I remember this. Directed by Questlove.
This was the first time I'd ever seen so many of us.
Never saw those, sadly.
It was incredible.
Roots drummer Amir Questlove Thompson made his directorial debut with this impressive documentary recounting the story of a massive, life-changing festival with a mind-blowing lineup in the summer of '69. This was the Harlem Cultural Festival, and Questlove set out this year not to rewrite the record, but to finally just write it for the first time. Filled with concert footage of stunningly high quality, key interviews with all the biggest players, and a sense of not just musical but also cultural revolution, The Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, looks back at and re-energizes a vitally important cultural moment that has been bowdlerized by uneven coverage. The result is not just an important historical document of the joyful side of a cultural moment, but a damn good time. If 2021 was an outlier in terms of music docs, it was a veritable banner year for period pieces.
Yes.
Our next 2 slots are set aside for them, and honestly, they almost took up 3. Kenneth Branagh is making Oscar waves with his rather sentimental Belfast.
Love that movie.
Paul Verhoeven asked us what if, like, the Bible was way more sexy than it already obviously is in Benedetta.
Need to see that.
Richard rendered the Williams sisters' upbringing in Shakespearean mode.
Good
Judas and
movie.
the Black Messiah came out this year, although
Need to see that.
It felt like forever ago. 2021's been a long one, but we can't forget this moving tale of power and sabotage in the civil rights era. While Sardar Udham gives us a nuanced, human, non-linear look at the life of a 1940s freedom fighter, The Last Duel is Ridley Scott.
Love that movie.
Still goddamn has it in medieval Rashomon, sporting exceptional performances from both Jodie Comer and, surprisingly, Ben Affleck. Maybe his best role and worst facial hair in decades. But it just misses our list in favor of our number 6 pick,
The Green Knight, okay.
Tyrion Riddle of The Green Knight.
O greatest of kings, indulge me in this friendly Christmas game. Let whichever of your knights is boldest of blood and wildest of hearts step forth.
Ooh, Green Knight, man, that was something else. Like the cinematography, the story was interesting. Like there was a few moments like it was like, really, that is weird. There's like some really nice long shots and all that kind of stuff. There was something about like the Green Knight with being like aesthetically pleasing. Like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. Also, the fact that Dev Patel was such a fantastic, amazing actor in that. Oh my word! But yeah, the Green Knight. I definitely agree with this one.
Take up arms and try with honor to land a blow against me.
However, even the Green Knight cannot match the unparalleled brilliance and majesty of our number 5 pick, Jane Campion's utterly astonishing The Power of the Dog.
Power of the
I
Dog.
wonder what little lady made these.
Huh.
Actually, I did, sir. My mother was a florist, so I made them to look like the ones in our garden.
There's like a lot of people that absolutely love this movie. Like for me, besides Kristen Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch, like The Power of the Dog just didn't do anything for me. Like I wanted to like it, but it was just slow and boring. Like usually that's not anything to do with me. Like with like I really get bored and whatever. Like, but this movie was just like I don't know. I maybe I need to see it again. I don't know, but like The Power of the Dog just didn't do anything for me. Like Benedict Cumberbatch was great, but like I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, let's hear what they say about it.
Oh, well, do pardon me.
There is an overwhelmingly surreal quality to David Lowery's adaptation of the Arthurian legend of Gawain, telling the tale of a young knight in search of a heroism he does not yet possess, like that of a truth that swims in and out of focus, dancing beyond our grasp. This is not your traditional sword and sorcery epic.
Yes.
It's splendid, with pitched battles and acts of glory, and Arthur, Guinevere, Mordred, and Gawain are not your parents' knights in shining armor. Clear bastions of strength, of good and evil. They, like the rest of the Green Knight, are alive with contradictions that the film refuses to even attempt to resolve. Dreamlike, psychological, often non-verbal. It folds in on itself like 1,000 years of retellings all at once. A tale reshaped 1,000 times for different ends.
Yes.
Here laid out as all or none. It would be unwise to go in expecting a tidy ending, but if you came prepared for a fever dream, you were sure to leave enchanted. The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion's story of two brothers bucking at their natures in the twilight years of the Wild West, and the mother and son who disrupt their dynamic, trades in a different kind of open-endedness. Every single one of the most important answers are there, and not a single one extra. There is a cut-to-the-bone efficiency to Jane Campion's minimalism when it comes to narrative, saving space for a depth of psychological richness and sensuality in its place. Johnny Greenwood's score is a literal masterpiece with melodies that will haunt you long after the credits roll. And Campion has long proven herself the master of frontiers, places where the concepts of masculinity and femininity meet at their fringes. And here is hardly the exception, finding the latent eroticism of the cowboy lifestyle much like Claire Denis did with Soldiers in Beau Travail. She finds stunning beauty at the extremes of her camera lens, both ultra-wide and ultra-tight, and wrangles an entire cast worth of brilliant performances, even while some initially feel off. Our recommendation is to trust that uncanniness will reveal itself, because Campion does not, in fact, make a single misstep in this slow-burn anti-western. We want to take a quick breath at number 4 and look at some of the great films we couldn't quite fit in other places on this list. We don't have a horror pick making it into our top 10 this year, but that doesn't mean there weren't some fascinating options. The minimalistic Lamb, the astonishingly detailed achievement of
I need to see Lamb.
We have very mixed feelings about Titane, but it is certainly an exceptionally well-crafted film, if not always a likable one. And we don't think this cinematic year in review is complete without a mention of it. As far as thrillers go, it's hard not to be impressed by both Nick Cage's and the filmmaker's restraint in Pig, or the anxiety-inducing Kitchen Confidential tension of Boiling Point. And there are a couple of films we weren't able to get
Can't wait to see
on
that.
this list. The Tragedy of Macbeth eluded us, although it's probably available in theaters now as you're watching. And we weren't able to make a screening of Memoria, one of our most anticipated films of the year, but nobody else will have a chance to see it until next year either, so we figure it hardly counts. But at the top of our grab bag, we have an animated film, the final finale to a very long string of finales, Hideaki Anno's capstone to the Evangelion epic Thrice Upon a Time.
Heard about this.
Over 25 years ago, Hideaki Anno revolutionized Japanese animation forever with his Neon Genesis Evangelion series, combining the deeply personal with the massively existential in a genre-expanding epic of battling mecha kaiju. But the ending was dense. From there, Anno remade the ending in feature film form to much greater success and truly deserved critical acclaim.
Interesting.
And then he continued his battle with one of anime's most fascinating narratives with the rebuild of the Evangelion series that saw the same story retold from a new angle to mixed success. And this year, he has offered a third and utterly final ending. The result is not just an example of a great work finding a fitting conclusion, but of a brilliant, if historically tortured creator wrestling with himself and his own concept of finality and finally finding a way to make peace with saying goodbye. For our last 3 picks, we have but one category: the broad, boring catch-all of drama. Well, what a year it has been for good drama. From Spencer to The Card Counter, from Coda to Uni, Lin-Manuel Miranda behind the camera in Tick, Tick, Boom, Molly Wood's The Disciple, Rebecca Hall's Passing, the multi-layered Bergman Island, and our top 3 picks in order: Souvenir Part 2, Drive My Car, and Come On, Come On.
Patrick. Hi. Hi. How are you?
I am middling. How are you?
I'm middling as well.
Like Evangelion, The Souvenir Part 2 is another sequel that sees a narrative turning further inwards rather than expanding out. In 2019, Joanna Hogg gave us the semi-autobiographical tale of Julie, a film student who finds herself in love with a heroin addict, a searingly honest take on all the best and worst parts of the binding power of love. But this year, she dissects herself even further, examining herself in a state of examination, as she follows Julie grappling with her own story of love and loss as she attempts to turn it into her own film. That is to say, Julie and Joanna's stories don't end at their endings, but continue onwards in art and memory. And The Souvenir Part 2 is the story of that. And what sounds like a self-referential recipe for dreary navel-gazing turns out to be something far more insightful, more profound, and more moving than even the thing itself.
Hearing a lot of stuff about this movie. 2019's Parasite comparison, apparently.
The screenwriter sits up, half asleep, half entranced, in the middle of the night and dictates the story of her dreams to her husband. In the morning, he tells it back to her so she can use it at work. Her husband, a theater director, puts on multilingual plays where actors cannot understand each other's words but must reach across the language barrier to communicate nonetheless. She records for him an entire play with his parts left out so that he can learn his lines. One day, she suddenly passes away. 2 years later, we find him driving through Japan at night, still in dialogue with her over those exact same lines. So passes the first 40 minutes of Drive My Car's prologue before the opening credits even roll. Simple, restrained, light on plot while heavy on emotional complexity, the film slowly steers its way into the kind of grief-stricken quagmire that often makes up the shape of a life in the shadow of messy tragedy. What follows in the next 2.5 hours as director Kufuku finally opens up to and with his driver is a quiet epic about the small bridges between us that language can build, and the huge parts of us that can never cross them.
Okay, that you said made me add that movie to my watch list. Holy cow!
What scares you? What makes you angry? Do you feel lonely? What makes you happy?
Come on.
I need to rewatch Come On. I really do, because I thought it was good the first time I watched it, and I don't think I appreciated it as much as I should have. And I talk to people who have seen it, and I'm just like, why did I miss that? How did I not feel that, or whatever? And just like, and it's surprising. Like, Come On is their number one. That is interesting. So let's get into the list.
Come On is a story that has been told 1,000 times before. Someone without children unexpectedly finds themselves thrust into a parental role, only to be significantly transformed by the experience. But it is neither the story nor the structure that makes this film special. It is the way the film treats its subject that elevates it far above the generic crowd. Director Mike Mills approaches the experience of parenthood with an unparalleled level of naturalism, revealing a keen sensitivity to how children think and speak and flow from moment to moment, and to the inner children of the adults in their care that these experiences can call out of them, both beautiful and infuriating for each. Loosely scripted and heavily improvised, the words and the tremendous performances that lead to them end up feeling astonishingly like real life. However, it is the way the film regards these subjects and their unabashed humanity that elevates Come On to the level of art. The film turns towards this realism that the actors have created, all their brilliance and their messiness, their sense and their nonsense, with such gentleness and unqualified compassion that it feels as if they, and in fact, all the childishness which we, the viewer, deep down possess, are infinitely forgiven. The result is deeply, profoundly moving in a way that the simplicity and ordinariness of the plot would never suggest, which is why we think it's one of the best movies of 2021.
Yeah, I need to rewatch this. I really do.
Yes, you are.
So what do you think? Disagree with any of our picks? Did we leave out any of your favorite movies so far this year? What are you looking forward to in 2022? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to iTunes
Pretty good list.
TV for more.
Very good list. I'm happy. That was a really good list. Like, there's a lot of movies that I'm adding on to my watch list, but out of that whole list, Drive My Car sounds just something exponentially spiritual and all that. Like, holy cow! Like, I was not expecting that. Like, I've always been like hearing stuff about this movie or whatever, and like how like the opening credits pretty much start like 40 minutes in and all that kind of stuff. Now I know why he's getting a ton of like late awards attention and all that kind of stuff. Listening about Drive My Car, that one out of the whole list is just, oh my word, like I'm still kind of messed up from the description and the way they talked about that one. Oof. I'm definitely adding that to my watch list. But like having Spider-Man No Way Home in their list, wow, really, really surprised me. Like that made my heart warm with that one. Green Knight, definitely agree with that one. I need to see Zola, although the premise is a little weird after hearing about that. With the Twitter thing, but yeah, and Dune being on the list, that's cool. And Come On, definitely brought me my attention that I need to rewatch that movie. So, yeah, love CineFix. Go and subscribe to them if you've not subscribed, because they have some great top 10 lists. and one of my favorite channels. And again, I'll have my top 10 of 2021 out this weekend. Just want to say to those who are new here and you made it to the end of the video, thank you for coming by and watching my reaction to the top 10 movies of 2021 from CineFix, as well as to those who are returning. I really appreciate you for coming by and watching my reaction to their list as well. If you are new to subscribing, please do not forget to click the bell to get notified of future videos. I have a Patreon if you'd like to support me over there. I give early access to videos and all that kind of stuff. I also have a Twitter where you can follow me. I give updates to the vids as well as me talk about my favorite movie news and all that kind of stuff. And I also have a Discord that you can join and interact with me and a bunch of other people. So just want to say one last time, I appreciate you all. Stay random.